Well, good afternoon, Keiko. I have one question for you. How many of you all are happy that the elections are over with? Yes? Well, for those of you who did not clap, the next election in Kentucky is only 187 days away, so it's just around the corner. But I just want to say congratulations to those of you who are just reelected or just got elected for the first time. I look forward to working with you because agriculture, by definition, is a local issue no matter where you go in Kentucky. And for those of you who are retiring, I want to say thank you for your service. Thank you for making Kentucky a better Commonwealth. And there's one individual, I'm not sure if he's here today, but my judge executive of 28 years, George Lusby, if you're here, I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done. And if you are retiring, let's give you all a round of applause for the service that you all have done. Really do appreciate everything that you do. You know, in Kentucky agriculture, we have a lot to be proud of. Latest count, we have 76,000 farms. That means that 76,000 small businesses that are making payroll, employing people, and expanding our economic impact in the state. And we recently just did a study on the impact of agriculture in Kentucky, and it came up to be $45 billion. And when you look at the state's total GDP of $206 billion, I like to tell people that Kentucky farmers, we punch above our weight class and we continue to get the job done. And we grow everything from apples to zucchinis and everything in between. We are a state that's focused on innovation. We are a state that continues to put agriculture in high respect, especially at the local level. It's the reason why if you were to go to any McDonald's anywhere on the East Coast of the United States and order a biscuit, that biscuit came from Kentucky. If you're to order sausage at any Cracker Barrel in the United States, or there's 647 locations, that sausage came from Kentucky. When you fill up your tank with gas, about 10% of it is liquefied corn. We don't just liquefy corn in the bourbon in Kentucky. We also make ethanol. That corn was more than likely grown by a Kentucky farmer and processed in western Kentucky. And one thing that we're spending a lot of time on is getting out of this perception, this misperception that agriculture is just cows, plows, and sows. Today's agriculture is about innovation. It's about job creation. It's about letting Kentucky be that gravitating center of the deep place to go for innovation when it comes to not just food, but also a conversation about fuel and how to properly manage the benefits and the environment that God's blessed us with here in the Commonwealth. It's one reason why we're processing crops that aren't even grown here. The world's largest peanut butter processing plant is not in Georgia. It's right here in Lexington. And we're going to continue to look for opportunities to connect our farmers with emerging markets. The amount of Kentucky corn going into Kentucky bourbon is up 65% in just the past 2 years. We now have 16 commercial hops grower farms right here in Kentucky. Kentucky used to be a predominant hops growing state before a little thing called Prohibition put them out of business. We're bringing them back and connecting them with a $693 million craft beer industry right here in Kentucky as well. It's also a reason why industrial hemp is thriving in our state. 2018 has been a breakout year. We have doubled the amount of hemp that was grown in 2018 than just in 2017 alone. And as local officials, I ask of you that if you have hemp companies approaching your fiscal court or your judge's office, please let us know about it. It's important to realize that until the Farm Bill passes and until industrial hemp is legalized, which we hope happens very soon, you still have to go through our office for a licensing process. And there's some folks out there that are not exactly telling you that. So please include our office if there's hemp companies locating in your area. And you're going to hear a little bit more about that from Judge Burnett tomorrow evening. And finally, before we talk a little bit about hunger, I want to challenge you with a grand vision. The governor talked a little bit about Alltech. Pierce Lyons, before he passed, somewhat challenged I, a few others in the ag community, and his son, Dr. Mark Lyons. Why not Kentucky? Why not let Kentucky, a state that's already known internationally for premier agricultural products, whether it be our racehorses, our bourbon, and the most famous Kentuckian to ever live, Colonel Sanders, with Kentucky Fried Chicken. Why not let Kentucky be the agriculture technology hub of the United States? Because right now there is not one. You think about healthcare, Boston comes to mind. You think about software and computer development, Silicon Valley comes to mind. But let it be Kentucky, because we're already home of one of the best state fairs. We have tremendous research being done with R1 universities across our state. Patents are being filed every year that are related to ag. But why not go for it and let Kentucky be the natural home? And if there's ever any evidence of this, just go to the National Farm Machinery Show. It's like the Detroit Auto Show for tractors. It's where John Deere and Case roll out what's latest and greatest. It's in Louisville. It's the largest farm equipment show in the northern hemisphere. And it always coincides with Valentine's Day as well. So if you're ever looking for something special to do with your loved one, go look at tractors in Louisville. But I'm going to try to get us back on schedule and just very briefly talk with you about the Kentucky Hunger Initiative. I talked a lot about sources of pride, about what we do well here. We're the #1 beef cattle state, East Mississippi. We are top 15 in corn, wheat, and soybeans. We have the largest chia farm in North America. We're growing indigo for the blue jeans business right here in Kentucky. We continue to have a lot of diversity. But as the Commissioner of Agriculture, I'm blessed to represent an industry that is good at raising crops and raising livestock, but yet too many Kentuckians go to bed hungry each and every night. The latest count is 742,000 fellow Kentuckians are considered food insecure. That's 1 in 6 of us and 1 in 5 Kentucky school children. And as the Ag Commissioner decided we should do something about this. And so 2 years ago, we started what's called the Kentucky Hunger Initiative, a first of its kind effort, where we involved everyone in the food production system, from that farmer who puts the seed in the ground, to our grocery stores, to our food banks, to our charitable community, our church community, which in many cases is already serving vulnerable populations, and even our restaurants community, where 40% of all prepared food is thrown into a trash can each and every day in America. In fact, if you were to add up all the food waste that's created in the United States each and every year and put it in one big pile, perfectly fine, perfectly edible food, it would fill up 737 NFL-sized stadiums. We can do a better job of taking care of our fellow Kentuckians. So first off, we listened, and as a former legislator, I learned very quickly that what might work in downtown Louisville may not work in eastern Kentucky. What may work down in Murray may not work in south central Kentucky. So we listened first. We listened to the needs of those less vulnerable by traveling the state. And first off, we found out that there's thousands of organizations already trying to combat hunger in Kentucky, but they may not be talking to each other. And so we've improved communications with each other. We've also learned that it's a logistics issue. We're currently working with people with IBM Watson out of Boston right now to talk about improving the logistics of moving food from point A to B to C and then finally in the hands that need it. Another thing we found out is that our own state laws were preventing people from donating food. In fact, we talked with one grocery store here in Kentucky that was throwing food in a dumpster and padlocking it because of fear of lawsuits. We found out that that was senseless. We had to change the law, and so we're happy that House Bill 237 passed a couple years ago, and now Kentucky has the strongest food donation law in the country, and the amount of donations are up, and other states are replicating what we're doing right here in the Commonwealth. We also found out that a lot of the food pantries in your home counties have actually had to refuse donations of food because they lacked proper storage equipment. They didn't have freezers or refrigerators. And that is just sad, because the top requested items from those less fortunate are meat and dairy, both of which need to be properly stored. And so thanks to the generosity of the banking community, Farm Credit Mid-America and CoBank, we had 156 chest freezers delivered last fall into your communities. So we are systematically chipping away, getting rid of those barriers of generosity, so that now, yes, when the dairy industry or the Kentucky pork producers, Kentucky cattlemen, the poultry folks as well, donate food, it can get into the hands of those less fortunate. And then finally, we've had conversations with our school system. A lot of young Kentuckians go to school hoping to learn, but if the last quality meal they had was at lunch on Friday, and the next quality meal they have that has nutrition in it is breakfast on Monday, the last thing on their mind is learning. We're working with our school systems, which, by the way, are the largest buyer of food in every single county in Kentucky, about how we can reduce the connections, reduce the amount of distance that food travels from the farm gate to the dinner plate, which right now is on average 1,500 miles. Food travels before it ends up on your dinner plate. Why not let the farmers in your home community sell directly to the school systems and help develop healthy eating habits at a young age? And so we're working with the United States Department of Ag on that as well. And if you want to get involved, please contact our office. Things as simple as backpack programs or helping support the Farms to Food Banks Trust Fund, where food that would otherwise rot in the field on Kentucky farms may have a small blemish, maybe too big, too small for a grocery store. Instead of letting it rot in the field, why not connect that farmer with my office? We can go ahead and harvest it using volunteers, compensate that farmer for a below market rate, and let that perfectly fine Kentucky Proud food go into the hands of those less fortunate, especially right now when we approach the holiday season. So in closing, I just want to say it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to serve as your Commissioner of Agriculture. I want to thank you for what you do at the local level. For those of you who applied for the county fair grants, a program that was saved by the Kentucky General Assembly, the results should be in later this week. I also want to say thank you to your offices and your local law enforcement offices that we just found just as recently as yesterday, the 10th skimmer on Kentucky gas pumps as we go out and inspect those 60,000 gas pumps. So we're systematically trying to cut down on criminal behavior in Kentucky as well. So as harvest season continues in Kentucky, please share the road with our farmers. We want to get home safe just like you do. If you want to be part of the Kentucky Hunger Initiative, contact our office. If you like to buy, be sure to buy Kentucky Proud. And if you like to eat like I do, be sure to thank a Kentucky farmer. And if I can be of any help to you, please contact me directly if it's good news. If it's bad news, contact Elbert first. Thank you all so much.